The hot tub's jets hummed a low, soothing rhythm, perfect soundtrack to the twilight. I leaned back, closing my eyes, and just as I started to feel the day's tension melt away, I heard Ida's sharp, insistent knock on the front gate, followed by the familiar, high-pitched squawk of Mrs. Carol from 2 doors down. "You've got to be kidding me," I thought, pulling a towel over my legs as the chill of the evening air hit me. It was her, of course. Who else would be so aggressively curious about my personal property on a Tuesday evening? I didn't even have to open my eyes to know she was peering through the iron bars, probably with that same tight, pinched expression she wore every time I mowed my lawn on a Thursday instead of a Wednesday. When I finally dragged myself out, shivering a little despite the towel, I saw her gesturing wildly towards the hot tub, her mouth moving at a mile a minute. "I've called the police. You're not supposed to have that. It's an illegal structure," she shrieked, her voice echoing in the quiet suburban street. What in the actual hell? A sigh escaped my lips, a long, weary one that carried all the weight of my past grievances with this woman. I just stood there for a moment, the cold tile beneath my bare feet a stark contrast to the memory of the warm water, and felt a rush of pure disbelief. Was she truly so bored, so empty, that she felt the need to invent violations? I felt a muscle in my jaw tick. My hot tub, a peaceful little slice of paradise, was now a supposed crime scene because a woman who had nothing better to do was peering through my gate. The absurdity of it all was almost comical, if it weren't so infuriating. Just then, I saw the flashing blue and red lights approaching from the end of the street. I heard the low rumble of a police SUV pulling up to my curb, and my shoulders slumped just a little more. This was it. This was my life now. A constant battle against this self-appointed neighborhood hall monitor. 2 officers stepped out, their faces neutral, their expressions giving nothing away as they took in the scene. Me, standing in a towel, dripping wet. Carol, practically hopping in excitement behind her own gate, and the quiet, steaming hot tub in the back. "Ma'am, we received a report of an illegal structure and a noise complaint," one of them said, his voice calm and professional. I just laughed. A short, bitter exhale. An illegal structure? This is a hot tub. It was purchased, installed, and permitted properly. And the noise? It's a low hum. Officer, the crickets are louder. I walked back to my porch, pulled out the binder I kept for just such occasions, and showed them the permits and the receipt. The officers' expressions shifted, a flicker of something between pity and annoyance passing across their faces as they looked from the documents to Carol, who was still muttering to herself. I watched her through the porch window as the officer spoke to her. She was a caricature of a human HOA Karen in her natural habitat. I saw her point to my property line, then to the hot tub, and then she pulled out her phone, probably showing them pictures she'd been sneakily taking. A pang of something cold and sharp went through me. It wasn't just about the hot tub. This was personal. This was about control. This was about me being an other in her perfect little neighborhood. And she was desperate to find any way to make me conform or, better yet, just disappear. I felt a surge of indignation so hot it chased away the lingering chill from the evening air. My hands trembled slightly as I put the binder back down. The subtwist, the little side plot she was cooking up, was that she was claiming the hot tub was on a public easement. A lie she was trying to sell to the police to justify her bizarre behavior. I heard the sound of a clipboard clicking as the officer wrote something down. The first officer, the calm one, walked back up to my porch, his voice lower this time. "She's claiming it's a zoning violation, ma'am. Something about the placement." My blood went cold. She had planned this. She wasn't just a busybody. She was a predator. A deep breath in. My heart hammered against my ribs. A frantic little drum solo of frustration and fear. This was it. This was where I either let her win, or I fought back. The air smelled of damp earth and the subtle, lingering scent of jasmine from my neighbor's bush, a fragrant calm before the storm. I took another deep breath and felt the switch flip. I looked the officer dead in the eyes, my voice now steady and calm. "Officer, I understand you have a job to do, but I also have a right to privacy, and to be left alone. She has been harassing me for months. This isn't the first time. It's the fourth." I paused, letting that sink in. "Look," I said, pointing to the small security camera mounted near my front door. "I've been documenting everything. I knew she'd pull something like this." I pulled out my phone and quickly navigated to the video footage. I showed him a clip of her standing right outside my gate, her face pressed up against the bars, her phone camera pointed directly at my hot tub. A slow smile spread across his face as he watched. Then, I pulled up the piece de resistance. "And here," I said, scrolling to another folder. "Here's the thing. She's complaining about zoning? I've been a member of the Homeowners Association board for a year now. She doesn't know this, but I have access to all the official documentation. The violation logs. See this?" I pulled up a digital photo of her own backyard, clearly showing an unpermitted shed, a violation that had been sitting on the HOA's radar for months. It seems her own property isn't in compliance with the very rules she's so keen on enforcing on everyone else. The officer's eyes widened. Then a wry grin touched his lips. He let out a low chuckle. "Well, I'll be," he said, shaking his head. He walked back to Carol, who was still trying to plead her case, and I saw his whole demeanor change. He wasn't just placating her anymore. He was a law enforcement officer delivering a verdict. He showed her the picture on his phone. I watched her face, the way the smugness drained out of her, replaced by a deep, mortifying shade of red. Her mouth opened and closed soundlessly, like a fish out of water, and then she just crumpled, the fight utterly gone from her. The officer handed her a piece of paper, a real citation this time, not the imaginary kind she'd tried to stick me with. He then gave me a knowing nod and a wink before turning back to his vehicle. I stood there, watching her walk away, her shoulders slumped, her triumphant swagger completely gone. She didn't look back. She just trudged, defeated, back to her perfectly illegal house. The hot tub's jets hummed on, and the steam swirled around me like a celebratory mist. The air felt different now, lighter, cleaner. The water in the tub seemed to have a new warmth, a satisfying, righteous warmth. This wasn't about a hot tub. This was about a woman who had tried to tear me down out of her own sheer malice and then got a taste of her own medicine. What she didn't know was that while she was busy looking for someone else's faults, I was busy preparing for the day her own would finally be her undoing. Justice isn't always swift, but it's a hell of a thing to watch unfold, especially when you're standing right in the middle of it.